Coming up on News 2, we take a look at the 2016 budget. It totals $1.27 billion in local and federal funds. More on the top allotments. Plus, in spite of legislative protests, the governor has hinted at an executive order that would combine the Bureau of Information Technology and the Virgin Islands Next Generation Network. Plus, highlights from the revival of quadrille at the Diamond Jubilee celebration. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gomansing. Topping our newscast, Governor Kenneth Mapp submitted his first executive budget for fiscal year 2016 on time. It was sent by transmittal to the office of the Senate President on Friday, one day ahead of the deadline. News 2's Erica Parsons has more on how the budget looks.
The fiscal year 2016 budget is in. Governor Kenneth Mapp and his financial team submitted it to the Senate Friday, one day ahead of schedule. The total budget tops out at $1.27 billion for local and federal funds. The general fund operating proposed budget for fiscal year 2016 is $702.8 million. That's $6.7 million less than the last fiscal year's submitted budget and $41 million less than last year's appropriation of almost $744 million. Officials say this budget is the beginning efforts to turn the economy around. It's part of a 5-year fiscal plan, but departments that have seen reductions in their appropriations year after year were cut again. The Department of Education's budget shrank by $5 million. Human Services was cut by $3 million. The judicial and legislative branches saw cuts as well, while the Bureau of Corrections and the Police Department's budgets rose slightly. The new administration met a budget deficit of $144 million. That number is now down to $122 million. The budget includes expected revenues of $98 million from new initiatives. Governor Mapp said his team plans to focus on aggressive collection of taxes, past and current. One key point of the budget cycle going forward is getting all government agencies to operate 6% below the last fiscal year's appropriation. Mapp also said those departments must justify their budgets. Revenues will not be automatically guaranteed. Erica Parsons, News 2.
Now, Friday's budget submission was the first time since 2006 that the executive budget was sent to the legislature on time. The governor has hinted at an executive order that would combine the Bureau of Information Technology and the Virgin Islands Next Generation Network. Recent speeches by the governor reinforced that it is indeed forthcoming in spite of legislative protests. But the Senate says the governor could find himself mired in a legal battle. News 2's April Knight has more.
Senator Jeanette Millen-Young says if Governor Mapp moves forward with an executive order to merge BIT and VINGN, he could be looking at a lawsuit.
We would have no other recourse but to take him to court.
The governor has pretty much made it clear last week that an executive order is imminent, putting the Bureau of Information Technology, an agency created by the Senate, under the oversight of public telecoms provider VINGN. Senators insist that the move would be illegal.
As the opinion from the legal counsel that I've shared with the public states, the case law is there. The legislature has time and again taken the administration to court for these types of breaches.
This would not be the first time the Senate takes a governor to court. Former Governor Juan Luis' Executive Order 250 was declared null and void by the VI District Court in 1981 after it was challenged by the 14th legislature. According to Senator Millen-Young, the legislature has tried to let Governor Mapp know again and again how they felt about the merger, hoping that they wouldn't have to get to the lawsuit.
He hasn't even attempted to talk to us about it. And I think that will be the first thing, that maybe his legal counsel and our legal counsel speaks, so he speaks to us something. Communication is very vital, because if we're broke, why should we encumber any sort of cost incurred because of court costs?
The Senate majority, she said, continues to hope that taking the governor to court over the merger remains an untapped last resort. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Government House spokesperson Kim Jones revealed that there is nothing definite yet on the release of that executive order and that the governor is still considering it. Count on 2 to keep you updated. Governor Mapp is presently out of the territory, flying to Guam. He flew on Sunday, May 31st, and will be returning on Friday, June 12th. During his absence, Lieutenant Governor Osbert Potter is the acting governor. Governor Mapp traveled to Guam at the invitation of the United States Department of the Interior. We'll have more on the meetings later on in the newscast. Government House has confirmed that Governor Kenneth Mapp moved out of the Estate Nazareth Villa rental on Saturday. The governor made that announcement during Thursday's press conference that he will be moving out of the villa in an effort to help move the held-up cabinet nominations forward. The villa rental has been a controversial subject for the community, initially thought to be priced at $4,500 a month, and later revealed to be $12,500 a month. A recent Daily News report that the villa is costing $14,500 a month. After being taken off the table by former Acting Attorney General Terry Griffiths, the plea deal with radio station owner Jonathan Cohen is back on. Cohen was facing 21 counts of failure to file income tax returns. Assistant AG Denise Counts handled the case and offered the plea deal under former Attorney General Vincent Fraser. The plea deal would considerably lessen the legal consequences of the charges down to 1 count. The deal was put back on the table by current Acting Attorney General James Carroll. Well, construction work on King Street in Christiansted has left some taxi drivers unable to park. This is what that area looks like now, with some help from Government House. According to a Government House statement, some taxi drivers had approached Frankie Johnson, policy advisor to the governor, to have the issue resolved. Johnson spoke with the contractors and loaned some of the Government House's own temporary barricades, which could be taken down when the construction work pauses. The project on King Street is expected to take some weeks. Well, you may remember we reported in February on the 18th, 25-year-old Kenson Jolly of Estate Pastory Garden St. John was arrested on first-degree assault charges due to a stabbing incident. Well, on Friday, May 29th at approximately 11:12 p.m., officers were dispatched to the area of Kangansgata in downtown Cruz Bay, St. John, following up on a report of a disturbance. Officers observed a black male slumped over in a patio chair, unresponsive. They say the black male was observed to have several gunshot wounds to his body and was believed to have succumbed to those wounds. The victim was identified as Kenson Jolly. Investigations continue. You are urged to call 340-693-8880 or Crime Stoppers to assist in the investigation. 2 incidents of unlawful sexual assault are currently under investigation by detectives on St. Thomas. Police say the first incident involving an adult female was reported to police on Sunday, May 17th. According to the victim, the assault occurred at her residence the week prior and was reported to officers by the victim while they were investigating another matter at the same residence in hospital ground. A suspect has been identified on Wednesday, May 27th at roughly 4:30 a.m. Officers responded to a sexual assault that occurred in the area of Ross Tannenberg. The victim in the incident stated that she'd been assaulted by a male and displayed visible injuries to her face. Now, both incidents are currently under investigation, and due to the sensitive nature of the 2 separate cases, no other information was made available. Again, call police if you have any information that can assist. President Obama met with King William Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands Monday at the White House. The president said he and the king discussed Ukraine and NATO. The king opened his remarks by expressing his condolences to the people in Texas and Oklahoma who were affected by the widespread flooding. The king also expressed sympathy to Vice President Biden and his family on the passing of his son, Beau Biden, over the weekend. They had the opportunity to discuss the shared work through NATO, and the president says he continues to make the solemn commitment to support the Dutch in the investigation of the Malaysia Airlines tragedy. And keeping our eye on the economy, here's the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. As we can see, everything up. The Dow up 29, NASDAQ 12, S&P 4. Coming up on News 2, it was all about the revival of quadrille at the Diamond Jubilee celebration. Many public and private schools as well as the I cultural dancers. They were all in attendance. We'll have some highlights. We'll be right back. Well, nearly 300 students put on their best cultural wear to show off their quadrille dancing skills Saturday. 12 public schools and 2 private schools participated in the 10th anniversary of the revival of quadrille at St. Croix Central High's gym. Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights played for the students. The dancers performed things like the crossover and form a line and the circle, responding to the call and answer style. Organizer Valrika Bryson said the annual event is a way to keep local culture alive while teaching children the art form. St. Thomas schools were also scheduled to participate, but were not able to make the trip. Well, let's look at those gas prices. The rack prices at Hovensa have been continuously dropping, but now Hovensa announced that its reserves of regular and premium gas have been depleted. Local operators have already looked at other sources of regular and premium. Hovensa is still selling diesel fuel at $3.31 and will continue to sell until that supply runs out as well. The diesel price includes the 14-cent per gallon tax that Hovensa collects for the government. Well, 20 students from St. Joseph's Catholic High School strutted across the stage Sunday to accept their high school diplomas. Friends and family packed St. Joseph's Catholic Church to support the 2015 graduates. Jasmine Bailey secured the top spot as the class valedictorian, while Jessica De Paula Carino took second honors as the salutatorian. 19 out of the 20 students are headed to colleges across the nation, including the University of the Virgin Islands. Combined, the graduates have been awarded nearly $90,000 in scholarships. Well, here are some graduation dates to mark on your calendar for St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix districts, courtesy of the Department of Education. On June 7th, 2015, the day adult graduation will be held 4 p.m. at the Charlotte Amalie High School Auditorium. On June 13th, it's Ivana Eudora High at 4 p.m. at the D.M. Wheatley Gymnasium. June 14th, it's the Charlotte Amalie High School, 5 p.m. at UVI Sports and Fitness Center. And then on St. Croix Adult Education, June 16th, 6 p.m. at Educational Complex. Central High School's commencement is at 2:30 p.m. at the school's gymnasium. That's on June 17th. And then on June 18th, it's Educational Complex, 4 p.m. at Island Center. Well, Governor Mapp is out of the territory, as we mentioned earlier. He flew to Guam on Sunday, May 31st, at the invitation of the United States Department of the Interior. Now, the purpose of this trip is to participate and present on the very important subject of climate change and its effect on our territory. The trip is centered on the U.S. Insular Area's climate change stakeholder meeting. Now, since Sunday, Governor Mapp travels for 2 days before arriving in Guam. He's expected to visit the University of Guam and tour the site of the Nature Conservancy Micronesia program. The next several days will be filled with meetings and discussions under the leadership of the Governor of Guam, Eddie Baza Calvo. Well, speaking of the weather, Vitima Director Mona Barnes says the 2015 Atlantic hurricane season, which officially began today, June 1st, ends November 30th. Now, Wednesday, May 27th, NOAA's Climate Prediction Center announced that the 2015 Atlantic hurricane season will likely be below normal. NOAA is predicting a 70% likelihood of 6 to 11 named storms, of which 3 to 6 could become hurricanes. That's winds of 74 miles per hour or higher, including 0 to 2 major hurricanes, category 3, 4, or 5, winds of 111 miles per hour or higher. She says a below normal season can still produce catastrophic impacts to communities, so be aware and be prepared. Have an emergency supply kit and an emergency plan. Be sure to count on 2. We'll have some updates and some tips for you. Be sure to stick around. Your News2 AccuWeather forecast comes your way next.